So I'm going to demonstrate part A, iron thiocyanate equilibrium from the LeChatelier's principal lab. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is note that my iron 3 nitrate is kind of a orangish red color. Okay, all of my other solutions right now are colorless. Okay, so I'm going, in a clean beaker, I'm going to add 10 drops of my iron thionite solution. So 1, 2, 3, and 10 drops of potassium thiocyanate. Okay. And you can't quite see it yet, but it turns this kind of like blood red color, or dark rust. Okay, and then I'm going to add about 100 milliliters of distilled water. So we'll pour this in here, and we've got a solution that is still a very kind of almost blood red, much darker than the original iron was. Okay, and then we're going to divide this up into 7 different test tubes. Okay, I'm going to pour some of this into 7 test tubes. I'll even them out in a minute. They're all a little slightly different levels, so I'm going to just kind of level them out a little bit here. A little bit less. I'm not going to get too crazy about it, all right? And then because I'm going to add something to every one of these, we want to make sure we're consistent. So for the first one, we're going to add just a little bit of water, okay? I'm going to cap that, and we're just going to invert it to mix it. Okay. A little later, it's going to ask me to put 2 of these test tubes in a hot water bath, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And 1 in a cold water bath, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, so this temperature is still heating up. We'll see what happens when it gets hot. So to the first one, I added some water. To the test tube 2, we're going to add 5 more drops of the iron 3 nitrate and try to see what happens to it. Okay, so I don't know if you can you see the darker, I'll keep going, you see the darker color forming, and you can sort of see it falling down there. So I'm going to add a little bit more than it says just to exaggerate on the video, but you'll see when I mix it, okay, that it is now darker than the original solution. Okay, so my observation is that for number two, when I add the 5 drops of iron 3 nitrate, the solution gets a darker kind of blood red color. Okay, the test tube 3, I'm going to add some of the ammonium thiocyanate in the same way. I'm not going to worry about adding exactly 5 drops. I'm just going to add some, and hopefully you can see the darker color forming on the top and sort of falling down. Okay, so hopefully you can kind of see that on the video, but it's definitely getting darker. And again, I've exaggerated that. So without even this on the left here, this hand that's moving, that's the darker one. That's the one I added the potassium thiocyanate to. So again, for test tube number 3, when I did this, the solution got darker. For test tube number 4, it's going to ask me to add some ammonia solution. So I've got some ammonia solution. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add some here. And perhaps you can see what's happening on that it's getting much lighter. Okay, if I add a little more, you can see on the top that it's gotten quite a bit lighter, right? And if I go ahead and mix this, okay, I'll go ahead and invert this. So it hasn't turned colorless, but it's much lighter than what we've seen before. And you can also see little flecks of solid in there, okay? So that's what happens when you add the ammonia, the NH3 solution. Okay. And then it's going to ask us in number 5 to add a very small amount of solid sodium phosphate. I have some solid sodium phosphate here. Cover back on. So I'm going to take a little bit of this again, and we're going to go ahead and add it to this here. And I think you can see towards the bottom, sorry, I'm not doing it very good. Towards the bottom, it's actually getting quite colorless. So I'm going to go ahead and stopper this. You can already see it lightening. And now it's almost colorless. It's not quite colorless. It's a pale, pale color, but practically colorless. And you might be able to see just tiny little flecks of solid in there, okay? So what we're going to try to do is take a look and see what's happening in our cold solution, all right, whether it's getting lighter or darker. And then in our darker solution, whether that's getting lighter or darker. And that will tell us whether those solutions will allow us to figure out whether those are endothermic or exothermic. So let's see, this is the one that's in the ice bath. Okay. This hot water bath is still kind of heating up. And this is the one that's kind of in the middle. So we're at room temperature here. We're going to have a little trouble showing you all this, but I'm not sure I've let this get hot enough yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stop this video, and I'll come back and show you the results of the cold water bath and the hot water bath a little bit later, okay?